Have you ever stood in front of a door you prayed for, dreamed about, fought for, and even cried over, only to watch it close right in your face, leaving you confused, heartbroken, and asking God, why? Because if we're honest, those are the moments that test our faith the most, when you don't just lose an opportunity, you lose a part of yourself that believed this was the way your story was going to unfold, and you feel like God just turned his back on you. But what if I told you that the very door you are mourning over today is not the end of your story but the beginning of something far greater, far deeper, and far more aligned with the supernatural plan God has for your life, and that closed door is not a rejection, it's a divine redirection? You see, in the Bible, God is not a God of accidents, He is a God of intentional placement, and when He closes a door, it is never because He has nothing for you, but because He has something that will blow your mind, something that will make you forget you ever cried for what you lost. But the problem is, when the door slams shut, we only see the loss, not the protection behind it. Think about Joseph. He didn't just face one closed door. He faced betrayal from his own brothers, slavery, and prison. Every time he thought his life was going up, another door slammed shut. But what Joseph couldn't see was that every single no from man was a yes from God in disguise, a setup for the palace. I want you to really let that sink in. Maybe the relationship that broke you was the door God had to close to keep you from marrying the wrong person who would have suffocated your purpose. Maybe the job you lost was a door God had to shut so that you could walk into the calling He has prepared for you that no employer can limit. And I know someone right now is feeling this deep in your spirit. You've been asking God, why did you let them walk away from me? But God is whispering back, because I'm sending someone who won't leave. You've been crying over the apartment you couldn't keep, but God is saying, I'm preparing a home you won't have to struggle to afford. You've been mourning over the opportunities that slipped out of your hand, but God is saying, I'm building a platform that no man can take away from you. You see, closed doors are not punishment, they are protection, and they are promotion in disguise. If God allowed it to close, He is either keeping you from something that will destroy you or positioning you for something that will grow you. But the challenge is, we want to hold on to the handle, bang on it, and beg for it to open again. The truth is, some of you are stuck in seasons of delay because you're standing at a door God has already locked. You've been checking the knob every day, hoping the key will suddenly fit again, but God is saying, move away from that door. I'm doing something new, and you can't see it if you keep staring at what I've already closed. Isaiah 43 verse 19 says, Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? The problem is not that God isn't doing it, it's that we don't perceive it. We're too busy staring at yesterday, scrolling through old memories, replaying the conversations, wishing we could rewind. But God is not in the rewind, He is in the fast forward. And maybe the reason you feel like your life is on pause is because you're not pressing play on what He's already trying to show you. Let's be honest, it hurts. The unanswered prayer hurts. The dream that didn't work out hurts. The friendship that ended without closure hurts. But sometimes, God will allow you to feel the sting of the closed door so that when He opens the next one, you will walk through it with a grateful heart, knowing that if He hadn't closed the first, you wouldn't have been ready for the second. And here's the part people don't talk about enough. Closed doors often come with silence. You pray, but you hear nothing. You cry, but heaven seems quiet. And in that silence, the enemy will whisper, God has forgotten you. But hear me, you are not forgotten, you are being hidden. God hides His most valuable treasures until the appointed time. Jesus Himself spent 30 years in obscurity before His ministry began. David was anointed king but sent back to the field with the sheep. Sometimes God will close the door, not because the promise is gone, but because He's still preparing you for the weight of the promise. And if you open the door too soon, the blessing will crush you instead of bless you. So here's my prophetic word for you. Stop fighting to get through the door God has closed, and start asking Him to prepare you for the one He's about to open. Start shifting your prayers from God, why, to God, what's next? Start declaring in the comments right now, if God closed it, I don't want it. Say it until you believe it, because when you release the need to understand, you make room for the supernatural peace of God to guide you. And I feel this so strong. Some of you watching this, you are about to see in the next few months why the last season had to end. You are going to look back and say, "Thank you, Lord, for not letting me settle for less." So don't be discouraged. The closed door is not your enemy, it's the proof that heaven is at work. You don't have to chase what God has removed. You don't have to convince people to stay. You don't have to prove your worth to opportunities that walked away. When God closes a door, no man can open it, and when God opens a door, no man can shut it. So dry your tears, lift your head, and get ready, because if a door just closed in your life, it's the clearest sign that God is about to blow your mind with what's next. Sometimes when God closes a door in your life, it feels like the ground beneath you is shifting, as if everything you planned, prayed for, and worked toward is slipping away, and you're left asking Him, "Why, Lord? Why now?" But the truth is, closed doors are not the end, they are divine redirections that protect you from lesser things so He can position you for greater things you can't yet see, because the God who created the universe already saw the outcome before you even stepped into that opportunity, and if He shut it, it's because it would have limited you, drained you, or destroyed you, and what He has planned is so much bigger, deeper, and more fulfilling than what you're mourning right now. And I know it's hard to see it while you're in the hallway between what's gone and what's coming, but the hallway is where He strengthens you, teaches you to trust without proof, and builds a faith that can carry the weight of the blessing He's about to deliver. And maybe right now you feel the sting of rejection, the frustration of unanswered prayers, or the silence of heaven, but understand this: God's silence is not His absence, His no is not cruelty, and His delay is not denial, it is strategy. It is timing, it is preparation, because if He gave you what you asked for too soon, it would crush you instead of elevate you, and this is where so many people miss it. They think a closed door is punishment, when in reality it's a rescue, and I feel in my spirit someone listening right now has been begging God to reopen a door that is already bolted shut. But child of God, you're asking for crumbs when He's preparing a feast. And I want you to think about Joseph in the Bible, who was thrown into a pit by his brothers, sold into slavery, and falsely accused. Every door in his life slammed shut, but each one led him closer to the palace, because the pit was a closed door to keep him from pride, the prison was a closed door to keep him from premature exposure, and the palace was the open door that could only come after the process. And maybe right now God has closed a relationship, a job, a dream, or a plan you thought was His will, and you've been pacing in front of it wondering if you messed up or if He forgot you. But hear me, you didn't miss it, you're in it, because the closed door was part of the path all along, and you may not understand why He allowed the heartbreak, the betrayal, the layoff, or the loss, but in time you will see that it was the very thing that pushed you into His perfect will. And I know it hurts to lose something you thought you needed, but the truth is, if it was necessary for your destiny, God wouldn't have taken it away. So if it's gone, it was never meant to stay, and if it's shut, it was never meant to be opened again. And I dare you to shift your prayers from God, give it back to God, prepare me for what's next, because your posture determines your promotion, and every second you spend looking back at the closed door is a second you're missing the open one He's leading you toward. And you might be asking, but when will I see it? How will I know it's bigger? And the answer is, you'll know when you can look back and say, "Lord, thank you for not giving me what I wanted," because the blessing will be so obvious, so overflowing, so precisely what your soul needed that you will laugh at the thought of settling for less. And right now, you may be tempted to force the lock, to knock until your hands bleed, to manipulate the situation to get back inside. But remember, anything you have to force to keep will eventually force you to break, and God is too loving to let that happen, so He's pulling you away, even if it feels like loss, because He knows the plans He has for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And if you can trust Him in the silence, praise Him in the hallway, and keep walking when you can't see the end, you will live to testify that the door He closed was the greatest gift He ever gave you. And now I want you to do something. Drop a comment right now and declare, "I trust God's closed doors," Because every time you speak faith over frustration, you activate heaven's release over your life, and when you do, you'll feel a peace that no closed door can take away, because it's not about the door, it's about the one who holds the keys. And now, chosen one, let's go even deeper, because this is the part where you stop just listening and you start seeing, where the dots begin to connect so clearly that you realize the very door you were crying over was never even big enough to hold the weight of your calling. Let's be honest, some of you have been replaying that moment in your mind for weeks, months, maybe even years, that rejection letter, that goodbye text, that business failure, that friendship that drifted away. You've been walking around with invisible chains of what if and if only wrapped around your mind. But I'm here to tell you prophetically, those chains are breaking today. Because God did not close that door to punish you, He closed it to protect you from something you couldn't yet see. Sometimes His protection looks like rejection. Sometimes His no is the greatest yes you'll ever receive. And if you could see what's on the other side, you'd be on your knees thanking Him for every unanswered prayer. I feel the Spirit saying, stop trying to resurrect what I have buried. Stop trying to force open what I have locked. You are not locked out, you are being locked into a season designed only for you. Someone watching this right now, you've been questioning your worth because you were shut out of an opportunity. You've been thinking, maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I didn't try hard enough. No, the truth is, you were good enough, but that door was too small for what God wanted to pour into your life. You were made for rooms that require supernatural invitations, not human approval. And God is saying, I'm about to walk you into spaces where you don't have to knock, because the doors will swing open when they recognize my anointing on you. But here's the part that's going to test your faith, the in-between season. That space between the closed door and the open one. This is where many give up, because it feels like God went silent. It feels like you've been forgotten. But listen to me, God is not silent, He's strategic. He is positioning people, resources, and timing in a way you could never orchestrate. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. Every door kept slamming shut. But one day, one single day, God opened the right door, and Joseph went from a prison cell to the palace. Do you think Joseph still cried over the brothers who betrayed him? No. Because he saw the bigger picture, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. That's where you're heading. That's why I want you to type in the comments right now, I trust God's timing. Not just as a nice phrase, but as a declaration to heaven and a warning to hell that you refuse to be shaken. Because when you comment it, you're not just engaging with this message, you're agreeing with the prophetic word over your life. The enemy wants you to believe this delay is the end, but it's not an end, it's a divine redirection. The closed door was a checkpoint, not a dead end. And here's the beauty, the next door God opens will require everything you've learned in this waiting season. You think this time of tears, frustration, and uncertainty has been wasted? No, chosen one, it's been training. God has been building your character, sharpening your discernment, and deepening your faith so you can hold what He's about to give. Because what's coming isn't just bigger, it's heavier. And if you're going to carry it without collapsing, you have to be prepared. That's why the door didn't open when you wanted it to. Now listen closely, because I feel this in my spirit for someone specific. God says, the next time you see me close a door, do not panic. Praise. That's your weapon. That's your key to peace in this season. Because when you praise after a door closes, you're telling God, I trust that if you took it away, you have something better. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. That's the kind of faith that makes heaven lean in and say, that's my child. So today, I'm asking you, will you keep looking at the closed door, or will you start preparing for the open one? Because if you're still staring at what's behind you, you might miss what's ahead. And trust me, what's ahead will make you forget the pain of what you lost. The new season God is ushering you into will be so full of peace, favor, and divine connections that you'll barely remember the days you prayed for the bare minimum. I'm going to leave you with this: every time you see a closed door in your life, I want you to whisper to yourself, something bigger is coming. Say it when you get the rejection. Say it when people walk away. Say it when plans fall apart. Because those words are not just a comfort, they're a prophecy over your life. God is not finished. He's just getting started. If this message spoke to your spirit, I want you to comment below, I receive this word, and let's fill this space with faith declarations so the enemy knows we are not afraid of closed doors. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because I have so much more to share that will strengthen your walk with God and prepare you for the doors He's about to open. Chosen one, hold your head high, keep your hands clean, and your heart ready, because the next time a door swings open, you'll realize why every no was necessary. Remember this, the God who closes doors is the same God who parts seas. Trust Him,